Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. As we approach end of June, I thought this would be perfect time to share a few more projects that I have been working on using the Simonsaysstamp Capture Joy card kit for June 2025. This kit is packed with beautiful elements and I couldn't resist creating a whole series of cards with it. In today's video, I'll be sharing not one, not two, but a full set of 10 cards made primarily with the pattern papers that is included in the kit. Let's be real for a moment. How many of us have a shelf, a cabinet, or maybe even a whole storage bin full of beautiful pattern papers that we absolutely adore but never actually use? We buy them with the best intentions only to let them pile up and sit untouched. If that sounds familiar, then you're going to love this video. I created the series with the intention of making the most out of the pattern papers we tend to hoard. Yes, I said that. I am a hoarder too. For this card set, I have chosen to work with almost everything that comes in the kit. That includes those gorgeous pattern papers, the cheerful sequin mix, and of course, the modern scrapbook stamp and coordinating die set. Now, while I don't use the sequins and the stamped sentiments on every single card, I'll be showing you how to incorporate some of the pre-printed sentiments from the pattern papers themselves. It's such an easy way to create meaningful, eye-catching cards with minimal effort. So whether you're looking for ideas to get the most out of your kit or just want to finally put a dent to all that paper stash, this video is just for you. I hope you'll find some inspiration and creative spark along the way. Before we dive in the projects, I'd really appreciate if you could take a moment to subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me and it helps me continue to bring you more crafty content each week. Let's begin with the gorgeous set of pattern papers. Now, here I have 12 double-sided 6 by 8 inches pattern papers from the Simple Stories Vintage Flower Shop collection. These 65-pound cardstock sheets are brimming with charm, featuring florals, butterflies, vintage cameras, and lots more. All in lovely color palettes. We have beautiful browns, pinks, greens, whites, blues, and purples. I'm absolutely smitten with these designs. They are not only perfect for card fronts, but also great for tags, journals, photo frames, or even dimensional shadow box projects. You will find a lovely variety of prints from whimsical butterflies to delicate florals to classic wood grain textures and vintage inspired patterns. One of the sheet even includes beautiful elements perfect for cutting into dies or layering on scrapbook pages. Honestly, how could you build an entire layout just from this set alone? I'm especially looking forward to fussy cutting all those beautiful butterflies here and the other motifs to highlight on my cards. Now, I love working with pattern papers, but when it's double sided and every design is so beautiful, it becomes so hard to choose which side to use. It's one of those times when you almost hate to cover up everything. Now, just a note here that this 6 by 8 set isn't available for individual purchase. However, I'll link to the coordinating 12 by 12-inch paper pack from the same Vintage Flower Shop line. That version is actually a full kit complete with pattern papers, matching stickers, and ephemeras, making it even more versatile option for your crafty stash. I'm starting off with these two pattern papers that feature a total of 8 gorgeous designs, each one perfect for creating eye-catching card fronts. Using my paper trimmer, I cut out all the 8 to create individual panels. In the end, I used only 4 of them as full panels on my cards, but I will also fussy cut a few elements from the remaining design to use as embellishments on some of the other projects that you'll see later in the video. And well, if you're not a fan of fussy cutting, don't worry, you can always flip the paper over and use the reverse side to add a fun pop of color and pattern to your card backgrounds instead. Before we jump into the first card, which features this lovely panel with a simple bike, a floral basket, and a beautiful sentiment, I just wanted to quickly explain how I'll be approaching today's projects. Since we are making 10 cards, I'll be working in stages to keep things organized and efficient. First, I'll create all of the card fronts. Next, I'll move on to adhering those panels onto card bases. After that, we'll be adding the sentiments where needed, and finally, we'll finish everything off with embellishments and a touch of sparkle. For my first card, I used foam tape to mount the panel featuring the bike and the floral basket onto a piece of brown pattern paper with tiny colorful polka dots. I love how the light wood grain background on this panel contrasts beautifully with the rich dark brown behind it. It really helps the design pop. That wraps up card number one, clean, simple, and sweet. Now, moving on to card number two, I'm using one of the pre designed panels that features a lovely sentiment which says, "Let your dreams take flight," along with some adorable butterflies. I paired this panel with a soft peach plaid background, but instead of keeping the background flat like we did with the first card, I decided to add some texture using the dot spiral embossing folder, which also came in the kit. I absolutely love the intricate detail it adds to the pattern paper. It brings such a nice dimension to our design. Now, whenever I'm adhering anything to an embossed background, I either like using liquid glue or foam tape instead of using the regular double-sided tape. To adhere the pattern paper to the embossed background, I'm using this new Positively Perfect glue. Now, this one here is a 0.5 ounce bottle, but there's also a 2-ounce version available on the Simonsaysstamp website. It features an ultra precise tip which makes applying the perfect amount of glue super easy, just where you need it. Since I was putting together so many cards in one go, I thought it would be perfect time to give this new adhesive a try. I have to say this glue is impressively strong. The fine tip applicator is quite comparable to the Barely Art glue, which is my usual go-to for card making. After applying the glue, I press the panel down firmly and set it aside to dry completely. And here's a look at card number two. I absolutely love the textured design paired with the clean and simple design of that pre-printed panel. Such a beautiful balance. Moving on to card number three, where we will be creating an edge-to-edge shaker card. As you follow along this video, you'll notice I'm not just creating basic, clean, and simple cards. I have also included a few fun techniques that would typically need a full tutorial on their own. One of those is this edge-to-edge shaker card, which happens to be one of my all-time favorite interactive designs. To create this, I started by applying double-sided tape all along three edges of the background panel. For the shaker window, I'm using a clear plastic sleeve. In this case, it's actually one of the plastic sleeves that I store my finished cards in. You can easily substitute that with either stamp packaging or any other clear plastic sheet that you have in hand. Now, once I have sealed three sides to form a pocket, I will fill this with the Joyful Moments sequin mix that was also part of the kit. After adjusting the amount of the sequins to my liking, I peel off the adhesive backing on the fourth side to seal it up, creating an edge-to-edge shaker with beautiful sparkle and minimal bulk. Once all four sides were sealed, I trimmed off any extra plastic hanging over the edges to give it a clean and finished look. At this point, you could use foam tape to pop the entire shaker panel for added dimension, but for my card, I opted to keep it flat by adhering it directly to the card base using liquid glue. Now, you could definitely keep this shaker simple with just a sentiment, but I decided to take it a step further. I layered one of that beautiful pink floral pattern paper, which already had a thoughtful sentiment printed on it, right over the green background. I love the contrast that this gives. Well, what I love about this design is that even though the panel is partially covered with the pattern paper, the shaker elements still shine through beautifully. And that wraps up card number three. Now let's move on to card number four. Similar to what I did with card number one, I'm layering the two pattern papers here one over the other, but this time instead of aligning them perfectly, I chose to place the smaller panel at a slight angle. This simple shift adds a touch of interest and creates a more dynamic visual effect. This panel also features a lovely thoughtful sentiment which makes it an easy and elegant choice for a finished card. Here's a look at the first four cards that we created using the small panels from those two pattern papers that I showed you earlier in the video. I just love how each one of them turned out so beautiful yet so unique in its own way. Some are clean and simple, others features added dimension, texture, and of course, we've got that fun shaker element as well. At this point, I knew I couldn't stop, and I was having so much fun with these pattern papers. So I decided to keep going and create even more cards using the rest of those fabulous pattern papers in the kit. For card number 5, I fussy cut this charming camera along with some floral elements from one of those pattern papers. Since this focal piece is large, it's larger than an A2 size card base, you'll notice that I trimmed off the excess at the end to make it fit perfectly. I layered the cutout onto a vibrant yellow pattern paper, but I also wanted to add some small strip near the bottom for an extra contrast. To tie it all together, I used a leftover piece of that polka dot pattern paper from our first card and tucked it behind the camera focal point. Everything was adhered using the same craft glue, so this card remains flat without any added bulk or dimension. And that wraps up card number 5, featuring a bold focal point image paired with contrasting pattern papers. Moving on to card number 6, I'm working with this beautiful pattern paper showcasing a row of butterflies. This design would be absolutely perfect for a slimline card where you could use the entire row. However, since I'm sticking to an A2 size panel, I had to trim off two of those butterflies to make it work. I ended up with four butterflies on my strip, which I chose to mount onto a black cardstock panel. This is actually the only card in the set that doesn't use any pattern paper for the background. Instead, I went with a solid cardstock base. To add some interest and texture, I used the dot spiral embossing folder on my background panel. Well, before I adhered for a bit of extra shine, I layered the butterfly strip over some glitter cardstock by Your Paper Insider. You'll notice the thin glittery borders on either side of the butterfly panel. They help frame the focal point beautifully and add just the right amount of sparkle to our card. I adhered the butterfly strip right at the center of the textured background, and that finishes up with card number 6. Moving on to card number 7, I'll be using the strip from this stunning pattern paper that features a design resembling a row of colorful little Polaroid frames. I adhered the Polaroid frame strip at an angle over this lovely lavender polka dot background. To embellish this card front, I used a few butterflies that I had fussy cut previously from the other pattern papers. You might notice that one of the larger butterflies is missing part of its wings. This is because it was positioned on the edge of that pattern paper. So while placing it on the card front, I made sure to align that cut edge of the wing perfectly with the edge of the card for a seamless look. I added foam tape to the back of each of those butterfly wings before adhering them onto the panel. This gave them a nice bit of dimension and helped create a more natural, lifelike effect. With all the elements in place, card number 7 is complete. Now moving on to card number 8, this one follows a very clean and simple design as well. I started by cutting the piece of that beautiful green pattern paper which we used in our shaker card as the background for this project. For the focal points, I chose three small butterflies that I had fussy cut from various pattern paper scraps. Once again, I used foam tape behind the wings to give them a bit of a lift, adding both dimension and a more realistic fluttering look to the butterflies. Now, this design is really clean and simple. All you need here is a sentiment strip and some embellishments, and well, you can call that card done. Now, on to card number 9. For this one, I cut out the beautiful camera image along with surrounding florals from one of those four smaller panels that we had set aside at the beginning of the video. To complete the card front, I paired it with two small butterflies. You could absolutely keep the design simple with just the camera, but I felt the butterflies added a lovely finishing touch. They complement the floral details perfectly, and their colors create a beautiful contrast against that yellow background. I adhered the camera using liquid glue and used foam tape to lift the wings of the butterflies for added dimension. And just like that, card number 9 is complete. Now moving on to the 10th and final card front, where I have created another fun shaker card. The process for creating this edge-to-edge shaker is same as the one we used for card number 3. However, this time we'll be incorporating different elements to give the card an entirely different new look. For this design, I've planned 3 focal point elements to layer onto the card front. First, there's a tag that I cut from one of those pattern papers. Next, I'm using a partial Polaroid frame. It's trimmed at the top, but that cut edge will be cleverly hidden by our third element, which is that fussy cut butterfly. The positively craft glue works wonderfully on plastic too, making it great choice for shaker cards. I used it to adhere the tag and the Polaroid while I popped the butterfly using foam tape, and just like that, card number 10 was complete. With all of the card fronts finished, that wraps with step 1 for this project. Now it's time for step 2, where we will be mounting all of these card panels onto standard A2 size card bases. While you could definitely add some dimension by using foam tape, I chose to adhere them flat using the same liquid glue. All of the panels are attached to 110-pound Nina Solar White top folding card bases. I'm really happy with how each one turned out. The variety in design, color, and texture makes every card feel unique. This collection would make a lovely gift set for anyone who enjoys sending and receiving handmade cards. With the exception of the card featuring the solid black background, we've used nearly all of the pattern papers, both as background and creating stunning focal points. Some of the cards already have sentiments printed on them, while for the others, we'll be stamping and die cutting sentiments using the modern scrapbook stamp set. Out of the 10 cards we made, 5 already include printed sentiments, so I decided to keep them aside for now, and we will focus on adding sentiments to the remaining cards that don't have any yet. Now we are on to step number 3 of our project, that is creating sentiments for our card fronts. I wanted to focus on making some birthday cards since those are what I need the most, along with a good number of thank you cards to keep in my stash. To start, I white heat embossed the happy birthday sentiment along with the smaller sub sentiment which says, "Hope your birthday is one to remember" onto black cardstock. Then I used the coordinating dies to cut out both the main sentiment and the sub sentiment. Now, this comes from the modern scrapbook stamp set, which was part of the kit. Well, I also stamped the happy birthday sentiment onto white cardstock using VersaFine Onyx black ink, just in case I wanted to use it on any of the card fronts, but in the end, I didn't end up needing it. I added each of those sentiments onto the card fronts. Although the sub sentiment pairs perfectly with the main happy birthday sentiment, I decided to use it on a couple of cards all by itself, making these smaller phrases the main focal sentiment of those designs. I adhered all the sentiments using liquid glue and used my T-square ruler to make sure that they are perfectly aligned. But, well, you could also use foam tape to add dimension to these sentiments. Alternatively, I like to cut out multiple layers of the same die cut and stack them to create a three-dimensional sentiment. This technique gives beautiful seamless dimension to our words without the bulk of the foam tape. I have a few leftover die cut sentiments that I will save for my future projects. And with that, we've completed step number 3, which is adding sentiments to all of our card panels. Some were stamped and die cut, while others were pre printed. Moving on to step number 4, which is adding embellishment to our card fronts. Keep in mind, I didn't add sequins or embellishments to every card. There are a few I chose to keep clean and simple. I used the Joyful Moment sequin mix on several of the cards. For the one with the for one of the shaker cards, which featured the half cut Polaroid frame, I used a small die cut flowers from the modern scrapbook set, finishing them off with tiny gemstones in the center for a delicate touch. For the rest of the cards, I kept things simple by sticking with the Joyful Moments sequin mix as my main embellishment. With that, we've reached the final step of our project, which is adding shine and sparkle to these card fronts. For this, I'm using stickles, which I applied along the edges of the butterfly's wings and in the centers as well. Stickles is a glue-like product infused with glitter, so there's no need to add any extra sparkle powder on top. If you don't have stickles on hand, you can achieve a similar effect by applying glue and sprinkling glitter or sparkle powder over it. Just be sure to let it dry completely. I added a touch of sparkle to most of the butterflies and the floral accents, being careful to apply it lightly for a soft, subtle shimmer on each of those card fronts. Glossy Accent is another product that I love to use when I want to add shine and sparkle on my card fronts. The glossy accent may look a little milky at first when you apply it, but as it dries completely, it dries clear, making it a great alternative to stickles. I let these cards dry out completely for almost an hour, and well, here's a look at all the finished cards. I absolutely love how these cards have come together. They are truly beautiful in so many different ways. Within this collection, you'll find a wonderful variety. Some cards keep it clean and simple, focusing on elegant design. Others bring a playful touch with interactive shaker elements. There are cards featuring carefully fussy cut focal point images that add charm and personality, while some have a rich textured background that give depth and interest. Each card tells its own story through its unique combination of design, color, and texture. What makes this set so special is that these are not just cards that you can easily replicate, they each have their own distinct character and feel. That uniqueness makes this collection a perfect gift set, whether for friends, families, or anyone who appreciates receiving a handmade, heartfelt card. You definitely don't want to miss the stunning sparkle that Stickles added to all those beautiful butterflies and floral images. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments below which card from this collection is your favorite. In addition to these 10 cards, I also created a scrapbook themed card in my previous video. For that project, I used several of the pattern papers, the stamp and the die set, and the rub-on transfer sheets, all included in the June card kit. I'll include a link to that tutorial in the description box below so you can go check out the full process for creating this beautiful scrapbook style layout on your card fronts. I really hope you enjoyed watching today's video and that it sparked some creative ideas for you. One of the best things about crafting is finding new ways to use the beautiful pattern papers we tend to accumulate in our stash. They are perfect for creating stunning card fronts with so many different styles and designs, and honestly, it feels great to finally put those papers to good use rather than letting them sit untouched. Well, although the June card kit I used in today's video is no longer available, I'll make sure to link all the individual products featured in today's video in the description box below. That way, you can still find similar items or exact tools and supplies if they are still in stock. Also, the July card kit has just been released and it's ready for purchase. This kit is packed with fun and fresh products, including beautiful stamp, three gorgeous window dies, a cityscape theme pattern paper that's perfect for urban inspired projects, coordinating embellishments, and so much more. I'm really excited about this new kit and I think you'll love it too. If you want to check it out or grab one for yourself, I will leave a link to the July card kit in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I can't wait to see how you use your pattern papers and kits to create your own amazing card designs. Thank you again. Until next time, stay safe.